The ongoing conflict in Ukraine has prompted a series of high-stakes diplomatic engagements, with key international players articulating distinct positions. United States President Donald Trump's administration is actively pursuing a ceasefire, aiming for resolution by Easter 2025. The US has proposed negotiations with Russia, excluding Ukraine and European nations from initial discussions. This approach has raised concerns about potential concessions, including granting the US access to Ukraine's natural resources as compensation for military aid.
As the war approaches its third anniversary, our message is clear. The bloodshed must stop, and this war must end. President Trump has been clear with the American people and with many of your leaders that stopping the fighting and reaching an enduring peace is a top priority. He intends to end this war by diplomacy and bringing both Russia and Ukraine to the table. And the U.S. Department of Defense will help achieve this goal. We will only end this devastating war.
President Volodymyr Zelensky has firmly stated that Ukraine will not accept any peace agreements formulated without its direct involvement. Kyiv insists on participating in all negotiations to ensure its sovereignty and territorial integrity are upheld.
It's not in our interests today, not in interests of sovereign Ukraine. So we will not repeat any, previous big mistakes of the world, of the divided Europe, and of signing any not honest documents, like it was the dividing of Europe, and then that what started the biggest tragedy of 20th century. So I think that we are maybe not clever, but we are cautious. Maybe there is something at the table, but not on our table. So I didn't see any invitations, envoys, and etc. from Ukraine to meet with some other envoys. But anyway, envoy, this is that national. It's security advisor, and so we don't have any papers, any invitations, and it's something strange for me to speak in this case, in this format. If before we don't have any negotiation between us and our strategic partners. As I remember, Russia is not our strategic partner. But I think this is very important. If it's security guarantees and troops, it have to be from this unity, from United States and the European partners, of course, who wants. But within the United States, I think it's weak, and it's not enough.
The Kremlin, represented by Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov, is engaging in talks with the US in Riyadh. Russia's conditions for peace include recognition of territories it currently occupies, lifting of sanctions, and preventing Ukraine's NATO membership. European leaders, notably French President Emmanuel Macron and German Chancellor Olaf Scholz, convened in Paris to coordinate a unified response. They emphasized the necessity of including European perspectives in any peace negotiations and expressed concerns over being sidelined by United States-Russia bilateral talks. Prime Minister Sir Keir Starmer has offered to deploy British troops to Ukraine as peacekeepers, aiming to bridge communications between European leaders and the United States administration. This move signifies the UK's commitment to a robust European defence posture.
I'm here in Paris, about to meet other European leaders to talk about defence and security in Ukraine. If there is a peace deal, and everybody wants a peace deal, then it's got to be a lasting peace deal, not just a pause for Putin to come again. So that needs to be discussed. There's also a wider piece here, which is the collective security and defence in Europe. And here, I think we've got a generational challenge. We've all got to step up in terms of capability and what we do as Europeans. And that's certainly the case, the message, the argument that I'll be making.
Hosting the United States and Russia talks in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia positions itself as a mediator in the conflict, aiming to facilitate dialogue between the involved parties. While not directly involved in the current talks, China has expressed interest in participating in future negotiations, reflecting its growing influence in global diplomatic affairs. Facing internal political challenges, remains committed to supporting Ukraine, but is cautious about escalating military involvement without broad consensus. President Macron at the helm advocates for a coordinated European defense strategy. He emphasizes the need for unity in responding to the conflict and ensuring European interests are represented in peace talks. The alliance is closely monitoring developments. Member states are deliberating on collective defense commitments and the potential deployment of peacekeeping forces. There is a palpable concern among European citizens about the prospect of prolonged conflict and the implications of being excluded from critical negotiations affecting regional security. The Trump administration faces scrutiny over its approach to the peace process, with debates about the strategic and ethical ramifications of negotiating without Ukrainian and European participation. The conflict and its potential resolution have significant implications for global energy supplies, influencing discussions around sanctions and economic cooperation with Russia. These developments underscore the complex geopolitical landscape surrounding the Ukraine conflict, with each stakeholder navigating a web of strategic interests and diplomatic challenges.